Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cute drawstring backpack. Now this isn't just any ordinary drawstring backpack. This does have a zipper pocket on the front as well as 0 raw edges. So if 0 raw edges is as important to you as it is to me, then you're going to love this backpack. Now with all of my tutorials, I will have a blog post which will be linked below as well as the information icon. Over there you will find the measurements for a child size as well as an adult size, and also extra links for the materials and anything that I use within my tutorials. So during this tutorial we will be making this beautiful unicorn one, and as you saw we were doing French seams on the inside of the bag to encase those raw edges so we don't see them, and I am also going to be applying some mini pom-pom trim which added a fun detail, and I'll show you also how to do that. So for this bag, I chose to make it completely out of cotton fabric. So I chose this unicorn fabric, and then I chose a pink cotton, which will be for the front pocket. I chose to do it plain because I will be doing some vinyl lettering later on, so I wanted it to not be distracting so that I could have a nice place to put my daughter's name. And then I have a little strip of pom-pom, and then the cord that I'm using for the actual straps, which is a 1/4 inch braided cotton cord that I got over at the hardware store. So the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my little tabs for the backpack straps. Just to get this out of the way, so I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to open it up, fold in each side 1/4 inch, press that, and then fold it again, and then we're just going to sew down both sides to create little straps. This is a long strap, of course, but we will cut that down to create 2 separate tabs later on. Next we're going to work on the zipper panel, and you will notice that I have a way too long zipper, but that's okay. I'm using nylon zippers and I'm just going to cut those to size. So I'm going to grab the bottom zipper pocket piece, which is the larger piece. I'll take my zipper and I'll put that with the zipper pull down against the right side of the fabric. Now because I'm using a plain cotton fabric, there really isn't a right or wrong side, but if you are using a printed fabric, just be mindful that your fabrics are right sides together, sandwiched between the zipper. And then I'm just going to put a pin in it and I'll sew along that edge. I did switch to a zipper foot for this portion, so if you've never worked with zipper feet before, I will have a tutorial linked in the corner of this video to teach you all about zipper feet and why they are so much better when you're installing zippers. So after that, we're just going to flip the fabric right sides out, and like I said before, because it's cotton and plain, you don't know the difference, but just pretend if you are using a printed fabric. And then we'll do a top stitch right along the edge of the zipper. We're going to do that because it will prevent your fabric from getting caught in your zipper teeth when you go to open and close your bag. So at this point, I chose to put on my trim. So I'm just going to do it kind of 2 steps in one. So instead of doing just a top stitch, I'm just going to sew the trim on while I do my top stitch at the exact same time. So as you can see, this is really small pom-pom trim, so they don't give you a ton of clearance above the trim. So for some pom-pom trims, there might be a little bit more room at the top, so you can put the pom-pom in between your layers of fabric, but because this is so mini, I'm just going to sew it directly onto my fabric. Next, we're going to take the last 2 zipper pieces, which are the long rectangles, and we will sandwich those on the other side of the zippers. So remember, if you do have a printed fabric, make sure they are right sides together, sandwiched within the zipper. And we're going to do the same thing as normal. We're going to sew along that edge, flip the fabric with the right sides out, and do a top stitch along that zipper. So I hope you're enjoying these tutorials so far. If you are, I would love it if you subscribed. If you're not already, hit that notification bell so you can be alerted of new and future tutorials. I do videos every Tuesdays and Fridays, and of course hit that like button. Hitting that like button actually helps my channel, gets it seen by more people, and of course if you share it across all the social media platforms, that also helps get my videos out there and supports my channel. And of course, you know, doing these videos, it's not cheap, and it really helps me to be able to do this all the time for you guys. Now that our zipper panel is done, I'm going to lay that on my ironing board with the right sides down, and I'm going to fold the top of it down 1/4 inch. This is just going to be sort of a guide when we go to put it on the front of our bag. I'm going to take the 2 outer panels, so the main body of the bag pieces. I'm going to measure down from the top 2 inches, and I'm going to do that for both pieces. These are just going to be guidelines for later on. And now I'm just going to take the piece that is meant for the front of the bag, place it with its right sides up, and then I'll place the zipper panel on top with that top folded down, and we're just going to see where it lands on the bag, making sure that the bottom is lined up perfectly. And then I'm going to take my pins and I'm just going to kind of lift it and then pin that little folded portion. I'm going to pin down the zipper panel, making sure that it's nice and straight. And then we will sew along the folded line. Now this is just the best way that I could figure how I was going to make sure that it was even on the front of the bag. If you have any other ideas or ways of doing this, then by all means try that. But this is, I really, without having to trim off excess fabric, this was the best thing I could do. So after that, I'm going to do another seam about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch away from the top of the zipper panel, and that's just going to encase those raw edges. So if you wanted to trim off your seam allowance underneath there, you could do that just to make sure that it was all hidden. So after that, we're going to do French seams to finish off the inside of the bag. So we're going to take the back of the bag and then the front of the bag, and we're going to put those with the wrong sides together. If you've never done French seams before, this might seem totally foreign, but you'll see in the end that it actually works out beautifully and hides those raw edges. We're going to take that little tab piece that we finished off earlier, we're going to cut that in half, and we're going to make them a little long just because we are doing French seams. At this point, I did screw up a little bit, and I have sewn part of this bag, but I am doing it in the right sequence of events. So I am placing the tab pieces on either side, and I'll place those about 1 inch from the bottom. And now we're going to sew all 3 sides of the bag. We're actually going to start at that marking that we left about 2 inches from the top. We're going to do about 1/4 inch seam allowance, maybe a little bit smaller. We're going to sew right over top of our zipper. We're going to get to the corner, pivot our fabric, sew along the bottom, and then we'll sew back up the other side and make sure that you open up your zipper so you don't cut it off, and go back up that side until you get to that second 2 inch mark and then stop there. From here, I'm just going to take out all my pins if you have any, just to make sure you don't end up stabbing yourself at some point, which is usually something that I do. I'm going to cut off my excess zipper and any of the excess seam allowance, because nobody's perfect. And yeah, make sure you don't cut off those tabs because you might almost do that too. And we're going to turn the whole bag inside out, which is kind of weird. And we'll poke out those corners. We're going to do another seam all the way around again, but of course not past those 2 inch markings. We're going to do it a little bit larger, and that is going to ensure that we encase those raw edges. So if you did 1/4 inch the first time, we're going to do it a little larger, so like 1/2 inch, just to be safe. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my fingers to kind of press the corners. If you wanted to press the bag beforehand, you could do that, and make sure when you get to the corner of your bag that you feel for those tabs so you don't end up accidentally sewing over those also. I've viewed many of these tutorials, and I don't think I've ever found one with French seams. So I really like that it keeps this bag lightweight, and especially since my daughter's going to be using it in the summer, like for swimming or gymnastics. So you don't want something heavy on their back, especially with those extra layers from the pocket. So I really like this version. And of course, because I made it. All right, so now I'm gonna turn it with the right sides out. And if you do have any little threads hanging out, just snip those away. That's probably from your raw edges. And we're just gonna go ahead and press that. Now, because we did do the French seams, this part can be kind of weird. I don't know why. It was on one part, but then it was fine on the other part. So just kind of make it look nice. And we're gonna fold it down 1/4 inch, and then we'll fold it down to the 2-inch mark. So it will give you about a 1-inch casing for your cord or rope or whatever you're using. And then we'll do that on the other side of the bag also. And then after we've done both sides, then we're just going to put them both together just to make sure that the top of the bag is nice and even and those casings are pretty much perfect. And then we're just going to sew those little casings shut. So we'll sew right along the edge right there. So as you can see, you have little openings where you can stick your cord through. And we are almost done. So I did choose to do the vinyl lettering for these bags. If you're interested at all on the font that I used, I will also have that over at the blog post, linked in that information icon in the top right hand corner of this video. So now we're just going to measure out the cord. So we're going to need 2 pieces of cord. Like I said, I got this over at the hardware store. It's just a cotton braided cord, and I'm going to measure the measurement of the top and the side. I'll double that up and give myself about 3 or 4 more inches, and that will be the measurement of one of my cords, and then I will cut another piece of that exact length. For the child size, I think it turned out to be about 63 inches, give or take. So, you know, depending on your bag, your seam allowances, it might be just a little bit different. So just, you know, it's not that hard to measure it out. So now I'm going to take my little threader tool, which I am using it wrong, so don't jump on me. I didn't realize it until I actually started editing the video, and I'm like, how do you not know how to use this? You've had it forever. But I was kind of using it backwards. So anyways, just thread your cord through the one casing, around the other casing, down to your tabs, and then tie it in a knot at the bottom of the tab there. And then you'll just do the same thing, but with your cord going down the other side of your bag. And then you'll be able to cinch it up when you want to keep your items safe. And as long as you do a nice strong knot at the bottom there, you shouldn't have a problem. Super cute. I love how it turned out. So once you're done putting your cord in, then you're pretty much done. So if you wanted to, go ahead and add on some extra details like vinyl lettering. If you have a Cricut like me, you can really have some fun with this. A lot of people love to make these and then put, you know, all their kids' names on it so nobody, you know, steals someone's or something like that. I did choose to use this beautiful sparkle silver iron-on vinyl. I love it so much. But if you can notice in the unicorn fabric, there is actually little drops of this silver sparkle, so I thought it matched perfectly. So I'm really happy with that vinyl and how it looks in the end. And then I used a Super Mario font for his with the Batman fabric, so I wanted to give you guys a little peek of what his looked like. I really love this one, and I love the contrast of that green zipper. I think it looks so cute. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said before, give me a thumbs up. Of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys.